Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Michael and we're going to be getting right back into some more Reddit stories. If you enjoy the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Now, without further ado, let's begin. This story was posted by a user named Pixies Love Petals in the AITAH subreddit. The post is titled, "I told my sister's boyfriend to get out after he refused to eat the meal I cooked." So here's what happened. I invited my sister and her boyfriend over for dinner. I love cooking and had spent hours preparing this fancy meal. Homemade pasta, a slow-cooked ragu, a salad, and a tiramisu for dessert. I was really proud of it and excited to have them over. When they arrived, everything was fine at first. We sat down and I started serving the food. Her boyfriend, let's call him Steve, stared at the pasta for a moment, then looked at me and said, "I don't eat carbs." At first I thought he was joking, but nope, he was dead serious. He went on about how he's super into keto and carbs are the enemy. Okay, fine, that's his choice. But when I offered to make him a salad or something else on the spot, he refused and said that I should have known about his diet beforehand. This is where it gets weird. He then pulled out a small Tupperware container from his bag filled with what looked like boiled chicken and broccoli and started to eat it at my dinner table while the rest of us were trying to enjoy the meal I spent hours making. I was stunned and honestly kind of insulted. I told him it was rude to bring his own food without mentioning it to me beforehand, and he should have at least given me a heads up. He then went off about how people need to respect his dietary choices and that I was being controlling by not accommodating his needs. At this point, I'd had enough. I told him, if you can't eat what's served and won't even let me make something else, then maybe you should just get out. He stood up, said something like, "I'm just trying to be healthy," grabbed his Tupperware and walked out. My sister stayed for a bit but eventually left too, saying I overreacted. Now my sister's mad at me, saying I embarrassed her boyfriend and made them both feel unwelcome. My mom thinks I should apologize, but my friends are on my side, saying Steve was being incredibly rude. Am I the asshole for telling him to get out? Shammy Dammy said, "Your sister didn't give you a heads up about his diet." To this, OP said, honestly, no, she didn't. I'm not sure if she even knew how serious he was about the whole keto thing because she never mentioned it. She eats pretty much anything, so I assumed he was the same. But even if she had, I feel like it still would have been polite for him to at least say something beforehand instead of just showing up with his own meal. I would have happily made something keto friendly if I had known. Tessie said, "My son's girlfriend has a gluten allergy. I know this because my son informed me before I made food for them. My husband's daughter is vegetarian and my daughter has a milk allergy. I wouldn't know any of this unless someone told me. You aren't a mind reader. You must be joking," said, "He lost me when you offered alternatives and suggested making him something. And he insulted you by saying you should have known his diet. Nope, you are not the asshole." To this, NYC Quilts said, "I'm guessing he deliberately acted like a jerk to see if the sister would put up with it. His obnoxious behavior will escalate until she's isolated from all of her support system." Update. Well, everyone, buckle up because things have escalated in a way I never expected. After my initial post, I figured things would calm down once my sister had time to cool off. Spoiler alert, they did not. So the day after I told Steve to leave, my sister texted me saying they wanted to talk things through at a family dinner. I assumed it would be just the three of us, maybe at a neutral restaurant where we could hash it out like adults. Nope. Instead, my sister invited my parents, my brother, and Steve's parents to this dinner at my parents' house, turning it into some kind of weird intervention. I showed up thinking it would just be a casual conversation, but the moment I walked in, Steve's mom, let's call her Carol, was already going off about how Steve has always had special dietary needs and how people who care about him should respect his boundaries. The woman acted like the guy had a life-threatening allergy, not a trendy diet. My mom was sitting there looking super uncomfortable while my dad was just quietly sipping his beer, clearly wishing he were anywhere else. So Carol started listing off Steve's dietary restrictions, and she was acting like I personally offended the whole keto community by serving pasta. Then, brace yourselves, Carol pulled out a folder. Yes, a literal folder with printouts. She handed one to me, one to my mom, and one to my dad. I was flipping through this thing, and it was full of Steve's dietary guidelines, suggested meal plans, and even a list of keto-friendly restaurants we could go to in the future. At this point, I was doing everything I could not to laugh, but it got worse. Steve piped up and said he was willing to forgive me for disrespecting his lifestyle if I agreed to host a redo dinner where I followed his dietary restrictions to the letter. He said this would prove I was serious about making amends and respecting his needs going forward. I thought he was joking, but no, he was dead serious. He even pulled out his phone to show me some keto recipe apps that I might find helpful. I was in total shock. My sister, by the way, said absolutely nothing during all of this, just staring at her plate like she wanted to disappear. My mom, bless her, tried to smooth things over by suggesting we all just eat whatever we want when we're together, but Carol snapped, "It's not that simple." She said that in their family, they all follow keto together, and that's why Steve is so passionate about it. At this point, I'd had enough. I stood up and said, "Look, I'm not redoing the dinner. I'm not making anyone a special keto feast. If Steve can't eat what I cook, that's fine. But bringing his own meal to my dinner without even telling me was disrespectful, and I'm not apologizing for feeling that way." And then, this is where it gets absolutely bonkers. Steve's dad stood up, pointed at me, and said, "This is exactly why Steve doesn't trust women to understand him. They always make it about themselves." The whole room went silent. My dad finally spoke up, saying, "I think it's time for you all to leave," and started walking toward the door, basically escorting Steve's parents out. Steve and my sister stayed behind, but Steve was furious. He started yelling about how family should support each other and then accused me of trying to sabotage their relationship because I'm jealous of what they have. At that point, I just walked out and left the whole mess behind. Here's the kicker though. A couple of days later, my sister called me and told me she and Steve were taking a break because she needed time to think. Apparently, this whole keto fiasco was the last straw in a long list of controlling behavior from Steve. She didn't realize just how bad it was until the whole family saw it play out at dinner. She even told me that Steve had been trying to get her to follow his diet for months, but she was hiding snacks in her car just to get a break from all the keto madness. So now Steve's gone full radio silent, my sister is staying with me for the time being, and I'm still getting passive-aggressive texts from Carol about how hurt Steve is and how he's just misunderstood. Honestly, I'm just glad my sister is finally seeing how controlling this guy was. This next post was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "2 days ago, my wife cheated on me. I wanted to write this sooner than I expected, but only got up the courage now. I married my wife about 5 years ago. I always saw her as a caring, loving person who was always concerned about me, but when everything happened, she showed herself to be a completely different person. I don't know if she pretended to be that way because of our marriage. After 1 year of marriage, we had a daughter. She is absolutely the love of my life. I adore her. My wife and I have always loved children, so having a daughter was like a blessing to our newly formed family. Fast forward to the future, the pandemic caused me to lose my job. My wife continued to work in an office while I did jobs anywhere possible. My wife and I fought regularly because of this. One of these fights led to her slapping me in front of our daughter, which probably made her uncomfortable, but she didn't understand about these things, so I guess she must not even remember it. My wife always reminded me that I didn't have a job and our marriage was getting worse and worse. In brief context, I didn't finish high school. This, at least in my country, makes it very difficult for me to find a stable job. I had tried to get a job in several places, but it never worked out. So 2 days ago, I came home early after helping to make some deliveries for extra money. I entered the house only to see a scene that simply never left my mind. My wife was there in the kitchen having sex with a guy from her office. She saw me staring at the scene, completely unresponsive. She screamed in horror at the sight of me. I just wanted to walk over there and kill that guy, but I somehow managed to keep calm. I left the house with my wife's car keys in my hand since I don't have a car and needed to pick up my daughter from school. She came out of the house a few minutes later with messy hair, tired, and with red cheeks. She was probably having sex with that guy all afternoon. She looked at me, crying, telling me that she loved me and that she was sorry. I didn't know what to say. The only thing I could ask her was, "How long have you been doing this?" Which she replied, "Please, this was the first time. I didn't know what I was thinking." It was a lie. I wanted to believe her, but I couldn't. I got into the car without saying another word, drove to my daughter's school, and picked her up. I needed to relax, so I just drove to some fast food place and bought us snacks. For a few seconds while I was eating with my daughter, I forgot what had happened. After spending an hour with my daughter, my wife texted me saying that she loved me and was very sorry for what she had done, and that she was at a friend's house in the office so that she could relax. I didn't answer anything. I drove home only to find that guy sitting on the sidewalk looking down. I got out of the car and put my daughter to sleep in our house, then got out of it. I just watched him turn around, crying, saying that he didn't know she was married. I asked him to explain, and he said that she basically lied to him. He told me that she said she was single and that her ex-husband lived in another state and her daughter lived with her. He told me they never had sex in the bedroom and that she always wanted it in the living room or the kitchen. That is why they never had sex there, since that is the only place where there were pictures of me and her together, and if he found out, he would probably freak out and stop hooking up with her. I asked him the same question I asked my wife: how long have you been doing this? And he answered that they had been having this affair for 3 months. I didn't know what to say. I stopped feeling my body completely. I've never been so devastated in my entire life. I told him to go home, but he told me that he didn't have a car and that my wife brought him to my house, and she was the one who drove him home. I felt a little remorse from him. Maybe he was telling the truth. Maybe he was truly sorry. I gave him a ride to his house, but we didn't talk the whole way. When we got there, I asked him if he had anyone, if he was in a relationship. He replied that he had a girlfriend. I told him to tell her everything that happened, to protect him, her, and their relationship. I said that she would probably freak out, but reminded him that he simply wouldn't be able to continue a relationship knowing that he cheated on his girlfriend. I said that in the end, it was his decision to tell her or not. He just agreed and got out of the car. After that, I came home to keep my daughter company. I have never been so devastated and destroyed in my entire life, and I have never cried as much as I have in the last 2 days. Now I can't think of anything else but protecting my daughter. I don't want to see that woman again in my entire life, and I hope to get a lawyer as soon as possible so that I can get a divorce. I will try to post updates whenever I can, and thank you for reading. I needed to get this off my chest and didn't want to tell my brother, who is the only person in the family that lives in my state. Also, sorry for any mistakes. I am not an English native speaker, so it is very difficult for me to write anything in this language, but I tried my best. Thanks. Edit: since there are a few people confused, I did not leave my daughter alone at home when I took the guy to his house. I called my brother to keep an eye on her. I just felt bad for the guy. Maybe he was sorry, I don't know. Edit 2. So yeah, I felt like I needed to do this edit because there are many people talking about the fact that I drove the guy to his home. I felt bad for him. Deep in my heart, I felt truly sorry for him, so I just felt I needed to do this. And yeah, looking back, it was a parenting neglect, even if my brother was taking care of her. I shouldn't have done this, and this will probably have a lot of effect on the divorce case. Thanks for all the comments. I will probably send an update soon. Update. I just wanted to give you all a quick update on what's been going on. Right now, I am already contacting a lawyer about what happened, and he said that my situation is not so good and that I will probably never get 100% of my daughter's custody. The best option is to try to get 50-50 custody, which I accepted immediately. I want my daughter to still see her mom because that could be too traumatic for her to handle. Her mom just disappearing from her life like that. Thanks for reading my comments, and I will stop editing this post because I don't know if there is a character limit on these posts. If anything new comes up, I will update in another post. And by the way, thanks to all of you for the kind words and comments. I felt really appreciated, and all those advices helped me a lot. Thanks to all of you. Tasha Dance On said, I will never understand how someone can get caught in the act and turn around that very second to say they love them and are sorry. Like, you're a full-grown adult, you know what you're doing. I'm really sorry, dude. Broad Sharp said, no need to find out why. No reason she can give will justify her actions. Just consult a divorce attorney. Find out what your options are for custody, housing, finances, etc. There's an app called Our Family Wizard. Use this or a similar one for all communication. Only respond when it pertains to your daughter, nothing else. Best of luck. Update. I don't have my mind in the most sane state right now to explain the backstory, but I just need to vent. If you are curious, my first post can be found in my profile. To start, I'm getting so angry and empty recently. I thought to myself, oh wow, I'm getting the divorce, I'm leaving my cheating wife, and I'm going to be so much happier. But no, I was wrong. I am feeling bad, angry, and I just want to punch somebody in the face. My soon-to-be ex-wife is literally making herself the victim in the story, and now all my friends are on her side. I just feel more betrayed betrayed now. My brother is trying his best to lift me up, but I can't handle it too. He just keeps saying that everything will be alright and she doesn't deserve you. When he says those things, I just wish I could scream that no, everything is not going to be alright. I'm getting so furious recently that I literally think about punching my own brother, the guy who is supporting me the most. I just can't handle all these feelings and I'm getting more and more afraid. It's like the world is against me for some reason. I just can't understand. I don't know why I am getting this punishment. God must be angry at me for some reason. Every time I wake up, I just wish everything would end and go back to normal, but no, it will not go back to normal. My life is destroyed because of my soon-to-be ex-wife, and she thinks she did nothing wrong. She is showing her true self, and I just can't handle it. I can't even eat properly anymore, and now I started smoking again. I just ignored the fact that I almost died years ago because of my reckless smoking, which just drives me more insane. I won't be posting any more updates here because I am 100% sure that my soon-to-be ex-wife will win this divorce. I just wish I hadn't caught her cheating. I wish I was a better husband and father. I feel angry, sad, destroyed. I don't know what to do. When I'm not trying to just destroy everything around me, those thoughts about just disappearing start to kick in. I don't know what to do. To be honest, I don't see any reason why I shouldn't just jump from a high place. 2 years later, OP gave us his final update. Hey everyone. So it's been a while since I've logged into Reddit, so it's still a bit strange seeing all of my posts and everything, but I just wanted to post this quick update for anyone who's still curious about what happened. So I don't want to spend too much time here, but everything's going smoothly. The whole thing with my daughter is still ongoing, and I hope it ends by the start of the next year. About the divorce, it's another pain in the neck, but yeah, I'm a divorced man now, lol. Still, things have turned for the better. I've recovered from a really bad depression, and I hope I get to spend more time with my daughter. Anyway, I just wanted to give a quick update to anyone who's still concerned about the whole thing. I hope this is the last update and the last time I log into Reddit, so thanks to everyone for the kind messages. It made me feel much better when the whole thing was still fresh. Really, thank you. This final post was made in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. The post is titled, "I'm not moving in with my boyfriend because of my cat. I've been dating my boyfriend for a bit over a year now, and he really wants me to move in with him. The problem, my cat. My cat is 16 and dying. The vet says it would be unwise to hope for anything past 6 months. I've had this cat since I was a child. He was there for me through everything. There are a few reasons I don't want to move. Moving is really stressful for cats, and I don't want to cause any unnecessary stress for my old boy. My boyfriend has a fairly energetic Rottweiler, and my cat has never been good with dogs. I understand my boyfriend wants me to be close to him, and I want that too. But is it really so much to ask for a few months for my cat to pass away? It hurts me so much that he keeps calling me unfair and not committed in this relationship. I am committed. But my longest friend is dying and I want him to be comfortable. He doesn't seem to grasp how important my cat is to me. He has never liked cats and even made the joke, when he's gone, I will finally be your #1 man. I don't know how to handle this at all. Any advice is welcome." A deleted user said, "I don't think it's unreasonable. After 16 years, the cat is part of the family. Of course, you want to make his passing as easy and safe as possible. If he doesn't get it, frankly, he sounds like a jerk." Plants Will Walk said, "This guy guilting you for wanting to take care of your old buddy in his last days is nonsense in my opinion. This is a big red flag and probably a symptom of a bigger issue involving respect and communication. Do not tolerate this. My boyfriend and I put off an interstate move for several months to give my best cat friend the most stress-free last days he could have. He was 22. I'm sorry you're having such a hard time right now. Stay strong. It will be okay." Lake Lady said, "Big red flag, he's not respecting you and your emotional needs, let alone the needs of your pet. On top of that, he's using your compassion against you and being extraordinarily selfish. If this is supposed to be a strong relationship for the long haul in life, 6 months is a drop in the bucket. For me, his attitude would be a deal breaker and I'd move on to make room in my life for someone better. Don't let his depression be an excuse." Update. First off, let me say I'm still shaking, so if this is a rambled mess, I am sorry. All your kind words from yesterday made me cry. Thank you all so much. I thought I would give some backstory to how my boyfriend and I met. It was through a support group, as I mentioned. Growing up until I was 7, I had a very abusive dad. When I was 7, he tried to kill my mother and me, but luckily the cops intervened and took him away. My mom charged him and he was put away. When the trial was done, we moved, and my mom got me Moo Moo from a local shelter. I didn't fit in at the new school, and Moo Moo was the best thing in my life. Back to the support group. I shared my story and my boyfriend confronted me after saying he also had abusive parents growing up and we bonded over our similar situations. I didn't realize how much control he had over me until recently. He convinced me to stop seeing my therapist and we also stopped going to the group. He used to tell me what to wear and how to style my hair. A few hours ago, I invited him over for lunch and to talk. Luckily, Mumu was in my room sleeping. I told him what you guys said, saying that if it was his dog, he would be upset. He blew up. He told me that wasn't the point. The point was I wasn't committed to him or didn't care about us. He started throwing things, a glass, some books I had lying about, and some picture frames. It was terrifying. I had never seen him this angry before, and I just reverted back to what I used to do as a kid. Curl up, cover yourself as much as you can, and stay quiet. Bless my roommate, who came home during this fit. She had brought the security guard because as she was walking in, she heard the shouting and items breaking. My boyfriend was escorted out, and as he left, I just screamed, "Don't come back. I hope it sticks." I've blocked his number, and my landlady has been notified not to let him in, as have the guards. Next step is notifying the neighbors. I don't really know what to do from here. I emailed my therapist, hopefully she will let me come back. My mom is on the way over right now, and my roommate is with me too. I'm so terrified. I didn't realize how much control he had over me. I thought all his early behaviors were just because he had clingy issues from his own upbringing. I'm going to have a bath, relax, let my hair go curly again, and cuddle my baby. I'm really glad Mumu was in my room. Thank you all for the help. I didn't think any of this was wrong until you guys brought it up. I still love him and feel bad for him. He had a terrible upbringing too, and I'm sure he's messed up from it, but I'm going to try to move on. After my cat dies, I'm going to move out from this place to somewhere he doesn't know about. Thank you all again. Edit for everyone who wants to see Mumu. I don't want to be identified in case anyone I know or might know in the future finds this. That's why I made a throwaway account, as I do have a regular Reddit account. Imagine this, a pretty big tomcat, mainly white with 3 huge black spots on his back, leg, and side of his head, minus the back right leg and yellow eyes. An 8-year-old me thought he looked like a cow, and cows moo, hence the name Mumu. He's pretty derpy, but he's mine. Edit 2. Move to tears again by all your comments. Thank you. I'm going to log off this account now and hopefully never have a reason to use it again. Thank you all so much for the help. I love you all. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video, and thank you also to partner of the channel, Gamersupps. Use code DLAM to support the channel and get 10% off of your purchase, link in the description. I'm sure many of you like me have a hankering for daily caffeine, so go check them out. Lately, I've been a big fan of Titty Milk and Acid Rain, but they've got dozens of other flavors for y'all to try out. Anyway, thanks again for reaching the end, and I hope you all have an amazing passage of the next 24 hours.